Hello everybody, Big Homie here. Welcome to the channel. And today we are kicking off proceedings with some open track day. And right here, I was trying to just navigate my way around here in the McLaren 1988 F1 car, but I got caught up in an incident here at this is the Long Beach small track. He just squeezed me to the wall. I just tried to dive on the inside, but this I should have expected the ram coming, but I just didn't, and we ended up spinning. It's open track day. It's not a real race, but this guy he just tried another one, I guess, just for the heck of it, and he misses me barely and decides to pay a visit, pay homage to the Shadow Realm, never to be seen again. But moving on to ABC lobbies, I love a good old ABC race. It's one of my favorite lobbies here, favorite modes, say. And as you see, we just can't lose. You see, we're in the Black Ninja outfit, race suit. And if they can't see us, they can't ram us. If they can't ram us, it's an automatic win. And odds are, if we're in the ninja suit, they can't see us. It's automatic win. But I haven't played in a while, so I knew I was gonna be a bit rusty. But here we are then in the Skyline GTR, racing around Prague, the full circuit. And Prague, it's not my favorite track. I love more real race tracks than anything else. But I would say Prague, this race turned out better than expected. Well, I do say race, it was more of practice because I was the only one racing in my class. As they, for some reason, the way they sorted it, you have two C class cars, then the one B class and the one A class. But the server wasn't full, and that's just the way it is. So this is more of just practice for now, practice for the next race. And like I said, it's been a while, and this race or the practice, it was somewhat enjoyable because Prague, it was a lot better than I expected, a lot better than I remembered. I expected, oh, the street circuit, I'm not gonna enjoy it. I do hate street circuits, from the F1 game. I hate street circuits, circuits like Monaco, somewhat circuits like Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan, I usually am a bit better at, and but it's still a street circuit. I have a distinct distaste for street circuits. So Prague, I expected it to be a lot worse, but I did enjoy it quite a lot actually, because the first sector is somewhat tight. You have the chicane with the big old curbs that you just basically fly over, and then you have this section, the hilly section, where it's a lot more. If it was using F1 terms, is a lot more downforce, a lot just swooping corners, and this is the part I enjoyed. Even though I go wide on this corner, miss the apex by a mile, but I did enjoy this quite a lot. I say quite a lot, probably as much as I could enjoy it, because it wasn't a real race, like I said. But just right on board on this lap, as I over rev my engine multiple times throughout this lap, including right here. And if this was real life, I'm pretty sure my engine would be in smithereens at this moment. But as we just ran on board with the lap, it was somewhat enjoyable. I say a lot enjoyable before, but like I said, it wasn't really a race, the lobby wasn't full, and it was enjoyable. It could be. And it had been a while, and I do enjoy Forza. I've played Forza ever since the first Motorsport came out, and while we're still waiting for Forza Motorsport 8, we're just gonna have to wait a bit longer as we win and the only one standing on the podium as we move on to the next race here at Silverstone. Now this one was very enjoyable, and it shows the difference between cars and their specialty. Now we're riding in the Mazda Cosmo C-Class, and we're going up against the Firebird. Now off the line you could tell the Firebird has all the speed, all the power. Now this might be a very lost race already. You see he's gained the gap already. Down the straights he gains all the time, but this is where the Cosmo gains so much time. He goes in very narrow and we just get a nice good cutback on him. Now we miss our gears a bit. We might be able to get a good launch against him and hit the apex before him, but just missing our gearing a bit, and we're just gonna settle in the back for now. But as you saw before, we just gain a whole bunch of time throughout the corners, but he is gonna gain also a lot of time on the straights. But right here is a perfect example right here. We just gain a whole bunch of time right here as he goes wide, and then we just make a good move going around the outside. No contact made. It's a bit tight, but we're able to make the move around the outside. And this is also the example right here. You see that we gain a bunch of time, able to make the overtake around the outside in that corner. But the Firebird, of course, has a lot more speed than the Cosmo. The Cosmo is a bit smaller. I didn't expect him to go for a move this quickly. He tries to go down the outside. He misses the apex horribly. A very Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton-esque move. But we're able to not DNF from the race and be able to stay ahead of him actually around on the taking a runoff area, more or less. So through the Maggots and Beckett section, we just gain a whole bunch of time. He was going to go for a move as he did get a better exit from the other corner, running us wide. Just through the Maggots of exits corner, we just gain a whole bunch of time. Now he's going to gain a bit of time back throughout the straight, as you saw on the other straight. The Firebird's a lot faster than the Cosmo, but like I said, the Cosmo just has a whole bunch of more grit. It's a lot lighter, a lot more nimble. The handling is just better. It's nice and planted, and this was a great race, I say. Definitely with that move around the outside. It just felt the Cosmo was very enjoyable to drive. I would say that. It wasn't like a boat. It wasn't floating around. There wasn't any oversteer. It was nice planted, and just the real downside of it was its speed on the straights. But it was very planted, like I said, and it's if you're looking for a great C-class car to be able to take on lobbies like these, unless they nerf it in Forza Motorsport 8, whenever we get that, the Cosmo is a great C-class car. Definitely if you could find either right tune or just tune it yourself even. It's definitely a very enjoyable car. Now, throughout these sections, we just gain a whole bunch of time. I keep saying that a lot, but we just do gain a lot of time throughout the first corners right here. But there's really only 3 main straights that he's able to gain any time on. It's this straight, the next straight after these corners ahead, and the straight after the Maggots and Beckett's section. And we just gain a whole bunch of more time since throughout all the corners. Just gain a whole bunch of more time than he does when he's going down the straights. So as we fast forward now through this straight, and we have actually an A-class car behind us, and as we go through the final section, the final few corners of the lap, we let this A-class car, the AMG, go through. But through the Maggots and Beckett section, just time we gain, even in a C-class car against the A-class car, we just gain a whole bunch of time because the Cosmo is just that planted, and we're able to almost go side by side with the AMG. But of course, down the straights, he just has a whole bunch more power at his disposal. So as we once again almost miss the apex of that corner, and this time we do nail the chicane, almost nailed it too good as we almost hit the barrier. But we're able to stay ahead and win another race and add another trophy to here at Silverstone, and now on to the next one. And this is where we get a title from. Is this track worse than Monaco? We've seen street circuits before on here. I showed you Prague earlier. It was a pretty enjoyable circuit. But here in Brazil, the Brazil street circuit, the mountain circuit, it's probably the worst circuit I've ever driven on Forza at least. Now there might have been worse tracks on other Forzas, but at least on this Forza, the mountain street circuit, this is a horrible track. This so tight. It's hard to get the corners right, and it's horrible to race on because while the it's tight in some places, then it's wide. Like on that turn, it's a bit wider, and there's a bit more runoff. But then right here, it tightens right here. It's like a choke point, and you have the weird track limits right here. As you see, the Miata I'm racing just cut the corner horrendously. But besides the track being pretty bad, or in my opinion, worse than Monaco, the racing wasn't that bad. And as we stay ahead of the Miata in the Nissan Skyline LTM, the Le Mans edition, which is one of my favorite Nissan Skylines, so it was great to race in A class. But the problem with this car, while it does have somewhat good handling, it's a bit of a boat around corners and a bit obnoxious to drive at times. But we just have to settle with it. Like I said, it's one of my favorite A class cars. I have a favorite B class car, which is a Skyline, and then my favorite A class car is also a Skyline, or LTM editions of the Skyline. But as we keep the Miata back, the Miata does have a bit more straight line speed, but in this case, it's really just anyone that can survive bouncing off the walls and not really trying not to wall ride, but just not trying to bounce off the walls would be kind of key here and not lose momentum, as we have the S-Class car behind us already catching us as we catch up to, I believe that would be a B-Class car, either B-Class or C-Class. As we go wide, trying to go out around the outside of basically a back marker, but now we'll do it then. Now diving on the inside, we give a bit of a bump, a bit of a tap by our Adrian, by the Miata, and we're just brake a lot later than him, try to block off the door, close the door a bit, and he's not very happy about that. And the Miata just has a lot more power and a lot more oversteer, as through a lot of these corners he was oversteering a lot, but he's able to keep the lead or able to overtake me more along the straight. And while we did close the door, I thought it was a pretty fair defense. And it's not the first time I'll close the door in this race. I thought it was a fair defense, and now it's our job to try to catch up and nail these corners and get a good exit. As for some reason on this corner, he didn't do his usual tactic of cutting the corner and being able to gain a lot more time with that. As we do gain time, and we gain a bit more time during this corner, as and definitely again on the exit. As on the exit of this corner, he seemed not to like. As on the exit of the corner, he always gets a lot of oversteer, and it happens again that time. So we switch places again. This time I'm in the lead, and hopefully we can keep it for now 3 more laps. Now, while I did say the racing was good, and what I thought was good, the track itself I just do not like. It's a very obnoxious track, I would say, a very obnoxious track, and it just wasn't that enjoyable. The racing was enjoyable, but in terms of actually racing on it, on the track itself, is a bit obnoxious to drive on, and didn't really like it too much. As we're not able to block it off this time we run wide and get a better exit on the final corner. Each corner we're kind of going a bit defensive, not knowing how good of an exit he's going to get out of a corner and if he's going to nail it soon. As we're starting to get used to braking points and when to brake, and we just threw out this kind of weird double apex hairpin, and we just try to keep the lead. We're just oversteering a bit. Like I said, it's a bit of a boat, and now that the laps are going longer, and I don't think there's a bit much tire wear might actually be turned off for this race, but just as the laps progress, we are getting a bit more oversteer. As we close the door again, he attempted to go through, but again we close the door, and he tries to get on the power. He oversteers again, oversteers into us, and it caused a bit of a pile up between the two of us, and it's more a drag race to the first corner. Who's gonna brake latest? I let him brake a bit later, but he uses the wall to help him. Try to dive down the inside, but he squeezes us against the wall. But we use our momentum to kind of shove him forward and make him go wide. And we try to hit the apex. We hit the apex and close the door once again very quickly. And he ran to the back of us and caused himself to spin. I think I was in the right. I hit the apex. I made the corner. It was more of a desperate attempt, more of a dive bomb on the last lap, and I would say that's what made the race more enjoyable. I kind of like hectic races like this, battling back and forth. It was a bit of a close race until the last bit there when I closed the door, but it was still enjoyable, and it was an enjoyable race. But we're back at Prague. I don't know why the track is back again, back in the voting. This isn't a new ABC lobby. I've used the same lobby for all these races, but for some reason, definitely for this race or this lobby, Prague came up. I think at least 2 times, at least the 2 times we raced it. And this time, again, we're back in C class. No S class races this time, as this time there are 4 C class cars around Prague. We're back in the good old reliable Mazda Cosmo, and really the other cars behind us didn't really stand a chance. It was really just me and the Acura. It was just us together racing back and forth. Once again, 2 laps, and this is where it's not. It was a bit annoying picking the track again, but like I said, Prague was enjoyable last time, and in the Cosmo, it's even more enjoyable. And since I already raced here once recently, the track was recent in my mind, so I'm able to brake on time, unlike the Acura, as he goes wide and where he exchanged the lead. Now, I thought this race was going to be a bit better. I thought the Acura he seemed pretty fast, stayed ahead for a bit, but during this section, since it is a street circuit, the Cosmo definitely has an advantage here. A lot of the corners, like the few corners before, is a bit flat out, or you just lift a little bit to make the corner. And this track while it was enjoyable with the Skyline and B class, it was very enjoyable with the Cosmo, the car handles beautifully, just planted, very planted, just like at Silverstone is very planted. And since there's a lot more swooping corners, a lot more tight corners too at the same time, there's a lot less straights. The Cosmo really felt more at home here than at Silverstone, though the Silverstone race was still pretty good and very enjoyable. But like all the races I really did, it was very enjoyable. And having been back on Forza, Forza after a few months, it was a good welcome back. And since Forza as end of life, it had good running. But now we just wait for Forza Motorsport 8 as we head to the next lap. We gapped them a lot. We're able to keep our lead for our next win. We won all our races, 4 in a row, and we're able to cross the line and win our next race, our 4th in a row. But guys, if you did enjoy this race, enjoy this Forza content, like I said, I enjoyed all these races. I enjoy racing on Forza, and I can't wait for Forza Motorsport 8 to come out. I know Forza Motorsport 5 just came out, and I can't wait for Forza Motorsport 8. But if you did enjoy this one, please do subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.